Because there's some accusations.
I'm just gonna tell you guys right now, it does not look good for Lizzo. Based on what Jaybe and I have read, it does not look good for her.
All right. So let me go really quick to I'm gonna go to the video first
Because
because
when I first saw the claim, the first thing I thought to myself was like, "Oh, this probably isn't real." And then I saw more articles later on, and I was like, "Okay, never mind."
yeah.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Yeah. Lizzo's in trouble. Lizzo's in big trouble. Gigantic trouble. Let's get into it.
On the lawsuit filed against her by 3 of her former dancers who claim they were subjected to a hostile work environment and harassment. The complaint also naming her production company and the captain of her dance team. And it says that the dancers were, quote, exposed to an overtly sexual atmosphere that permeated their workplace, which included outings where nudity and sexuality were a focal point. The suit also alleges, among other things, that Lizzo called out one of the plaintiffs for her weight gain after accusing the dancer of not being committed to her role. Lizzo is known, of course, for her uplifting messages and advocacy for body positivity.
I'm not going to be able to please everybody with my outward appearance. Someone's always going to have a critique. Someone's always going to have some negativity to say about me. So all that matters is what I think about it.
Now, after what had been a notably lengthy responded to the lawsuit on Instagram, writing, in part, these sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. I take my music and my performances seriously because at the end of the day, I only want to put out the best art that represents me and my fans. With passion comes hard work and high standards. Joining us now are the 3 dancers, Crystal Williams, Ariana Davis, and Noel Rodriguez, along with their attorney, Ron Zambrano. Crystal, I want to start with you. The response that you have to the response from Lizzo after the silence for a pretty extended period of time.
Yeah, I want to say that reading it just kind of furthered my like disappointment in regards to the situation, just because the facts are the facts. What we experienced and what we witnessed is absolutely what happened. There's nothing sensationalized about it. So all that I can hope is that people focus more so on the facts rather than the court of public opinion.
You know what's so sad about this, Jaybe?
What?
And not just and for people who don't understand, it's not just harassment, it's sexual harassment, just FYI for people. Is that Lizzo is one of those people that she represents what bodily, what is it? Bodily
body acceptance.
Yeah. She represents like body acceptance and things like that. And she's always been like really vocal for saying like, listen, I just want to tell you that you're beautiful the way that you are. And she's also been a role model to a lot of other women who can look at her and say, finally, there's someone up there who's kind of like a pop icon, so to speak, or has become like a pop icon, so to speak. And she doesn't have that typical standard, female body that the pop stars usually have. Mm-hmm. They can point to her and say, wow, someone who looks like me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And she's super talented, right? It's not just, body positivity. Thank you, Notori. I forgot. She's super talented too. It's not just like she's just up there just shaking her booty, although she does shake the booty, right? But she also can play her ass off on the flute. Like she's very talented. And it's just really sad to hear that she actually was not practicing the same like body positivity when it came to her dancers.
Yeah. One thing I noticed is that the lady in the middle, as the one on the left was speaking, she was shaking her head in disappointment. I mean, you just tell like by their body language, that head shaking was just out of disappointment. Um, so yeah, let's continue.
Ariana, at what point did you realize that what you were experiencing, what you led you experience, was not normal?
It's hard to answer that question because as this was my first professional job, I was told by the dance captain and, just it's this thing in the dance industry that you have to, shut up and, take whatever you get and just be grateful for whatever crumbs you get as a dancer. So a lot of things that were going on, it took me a really long time to figure out that it was wrong. It took me actually until leaving the camp that I figured out that everything that went on was bad because I just chalked it up to, oh, Lizzo might be a diva, or, this is just the industry. This is what we go through. I mean, I think that I had inklings, like I would be on the phone with my mom all day and be like just complaining about the disrespect and the treatment and the humiliation. I mean, me personally, looking at the response from Lizzo was so disheartening because she was there. She was there. And to fix your hand to write on a piece of paper that you that you discredit everything we're saying is incredibly frustrating. The facts are the facts, like Crystal said. Was I pressured to touch a new performer? Yes. Was I brought into a private meeting where I was kind of interrogated about my personal matters and ended up having to share very personal things about myself regarding my weight? Yes. What I mean, the list goes on. Were we pressured to do an excruciatingly long rehearsal that turned into a re-audition for the job that we already booked because apparently we weren't doing good enough? Yes, that is true. During that excruciatingly long re-audition process, was I under the impression that if I left the stage, I would be fired? Yes. Did I unfortunately go to the bathroom on myself on one stage because I was so terrified? Yes. There is you in a court of law. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know anything, but I know that if you ask someone to tell the truth, these things will come out of her mouth. If you have to say yes or no to these questions, she has to say yes because they are true. There was multiple witnesses, and I don't appreciate the discredit of our feelings and our experiences and our traumas.
I just want to explain to people not familiar with dancers in the industry. Dancers are paid very little. If you get a dancing gig, because so many dancers show up to these auditions, you guys, like I'm talking hundreds will show up to these auditions and they'll look at so many in a day. If you get it, it's like you're basically supposed to be thankful that you made it, because that's the thing too. Because there's so many dancers, they know that at any given minute, there's another dancer, lined up to take their spot. So
Mm-hmm.
if they don't do what they're told, like she said, she's afraid if she left the stage, she would lose her job.
Yeah.
That's very real. Like there's always someone waiting to be replaced her. But in terms of the music industry, dancers are basically considered to be the bottom of the totem pole, and they're treated very poorly and they're paid very little. So you may
Yeah.
see someone, they're like, I'm a backup dancer for Madonna or Beyonce. That doesn't really mean as much. A lot of times these people have other jobs because
Mm-hmm.
they're paid so little, you know?
Yeah, people have to remember, dancers are workers. That's what they are. This is labor. Somebody like Lizzo is a boss. So when workers come out and allege something, especially if, they're the ones who don't own the means of production, then you have to take what they say with a grain of salt. Not a grain of salt. You have to you have to listen more intently at what they're saying, because they're the bottom of the totem pole. So I hate using that. They're at the bottom of the hierarchy. Using totem pole is actually kind of offensive to people who are indigenous. I'm sorry, but they're at the bottom of the hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so because of that, then you have to do what they say, or if not, then you're out. Yep. And it's the same thing with a lot of, actors who are, I guess D-list or lower, because they can't just make demands. It's not like they're like a George Clooney or Angelina Jolie. You can't just make demands and they can just replace you like that. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
So.
Right. Even backup singers are, when we're talking about the hierarchy, even backup singers are considered to be a higher level than dancers.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's continue.
Understood. Joelle, you allege that Lizzo intended to hit you at one point after you. Sorry, Noelle, intended to hit you at one point after you resigned. Do you really think that she was going to resort or could resort to physical violence?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, the facts of that were that she actually balled up her fist like this to me. She started cracking her knuckles, and she was like, "You're so effing lucky that basically I'm not going to hit you." And, I was in shock watching her do that and cracking her knuckles and acting as if she was going to come at me. And for a second, I was like, I don't think she's going to do that. Like, that's not what's going to happen. But the fact that one of her dancers, all of us were present, all the dancers were present for mostly all of these allegations. And in that meeting that we had where she got physical and was about to assault me, her best friend, who's also one of the dancers, had to jump out of the couch and physically hold her back from coming and hitting me. So yes, I do believe that if she wasn't held back by that dancer, she would have hit me.
That's scary. That's scary, man.
This sucks because Lizzo's a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get pegged as the angry black woman, angry black man all the time. And then we get pegged as violent all the time. And my thing is like, Lizzo, what the hell are you doing? You're at work, ma'am. And you're a black woman at work. And the fact that you're doing this does not help the stereotype, to get rid of the stereotype that we endure day in and day out. Like, come on. And it's not that there are just 3 white women that are standing there, that are sitting there, that are making these accusations. You have a woman of color, and then you have 2 black women sitting there.
Yep.
So you have black and brown women, and they're not skinny. They're your dancers.
Yep.
And they're literally telling, and they're saying, yeah, she was abusive to us.
And we haven't even gotten to the banana story yet. This is the mild part compared to what the other part.
This is mild. Mm-hmm. Shit is banana.
Seriously.
Wild. All right, let's finish this up because geez Louise, because the lawyer speaks too.
It's what you described there. There's clearly, not only you believe you have witnesses, but potentially you have other people that would want to be party to a lawsuit like this or experience similar things. And I guess to some degree, I would direct that your way, Ron, in terms of, do you believe more people will join? Do you believe that there are other individuals who worked with these 3 women who experienced the same things that would like to join this lawsuit or sue on their own account in the future?
100%. People have already come on social media to support our clients. People have already reached out to my office through social media. 100% I believe more people will come forward, if not here where we are in Los Angeles, but in New York, and we've received other calls and inquiries from around the nation.
Okay, Crystal Williams.
You know what I hate to say this, but the reality is those 3 women that you just saw sitting there, after this, they may not ever be able to get another dancing job in the industry again.
And on top of it, the fact that they're more heavy set, they're plus size, it's like, yeah, they're never going. Oh man.
That's the even crazier part about it, is the fact that they're doing the right thing by coming forward, but in the music industry, they'll probably be blacklisted. That's right, Hugo, after this. We've seen their faces. It's not like one of those lawsuits where you actually don't see the victims' faces, right? That are filing the lawsuit, but like everybody knows their faces now. So it's like, and that's how the entertainment business is.
Mm-hmm. So let me go to the banana story. Lord, oh Lord, I'm gonna have to censor myself too for this one. Come on, share.
I'd hate to play against. Greg Bruce says I'd hate to play against Lizzo in Mario Kart. Oh boy.
I'm sorry.
Oh boy, the jokes are already coming.
With that. Lord. Oh gosh. All right. So let me. Sorry, guys. My computer is a little bit slow. All right. So this says Lizzo showed interest in banana sex show, now being sued over it. Oh gosh.
The bananas.
It's bananas. It's a bag of bananas. Okay. All right, so let's go.
Jesus.
I'm trying to scroll, Sabs, but my computer keeps freezing.
Sure, Jaybe. Sure.
I'm serious. I'm for real. I am for real.
It just happened to slow down at that part.
I'm sorry. Look, it even says Google Chrome not responding. Okay. Gosh, geez Louise. Come on, computer.
If you put the link in the private chat, I can share it.
Yeah, it's just okay. All right. It's doing okay now, I think. Okay. It says Lizzo kept an eye on the famed banana sex show in Amsterdam for years, sharing her desires way before being sued for allegedly pressuring backup dancers to get in on the act. Here's the deal. Lizzo talked about wanting to do a specific live sex show in the city's infamous red light district during the 2019 interview with an Amsterdam radio station. The same show she's being sued over. It says in her interview with 3FM DJ Frank Vanderland, Lizzo reveals her love for live sex shows in Amsterdam, and she asked the host about the banana sex show, where patrons eat bananas out of sex performers. You guys can see the word there. I ain't saying it. It says Lizzo excitedly talks about her desire.
Uh-oh. I think Jaybe froze.
Explaining that's what I want to do. And I'm saying my potassium. Good Lord. And that's where it is.
I'm sorry, Jaybe, it froze on that. Can you read that last part again? It froze.
Oh, sorry. It says Lizzo excitedly talks about her desire to find out where the banana show happens, explaining that's what I want to do. I need my potassium, if you know what I'm saying, my potassium.
They were eating bananas out of the cooch. what or whatever nickname that other people have for it.
I don't know how to continue this. Okay. It says the radio host tells Lizzo the place she's looking for is Banana Bar. But a Bananen Bar. Sorry. A venue that's mentioned several times in the lawsuit she's now facing. As reported, Lizzo is being sued by 3 or 4 former backup dancers who say they were sexually denigrated by Lizzo while on the job. It says in the suit, the dancers claimed during a February 2023 tour stop in Amsterdam, Lizzo took them to Banana Bar and pressured them to interact with the sex performers. She says the dancers claim Lizzo began inviting cast members to take turns touching the nude performers, catching sex toys, I have to purse my language, launched from the performers, and eating bananas protruding from the
cooch.
It is unclear if the incident was Lizzo's first time at Banana Bar, but she's clearly had the Banana Sex Show on her mind since 2019 at least. Shit is bananas. BANANAN. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh.
It's just, and the thing is, like, if that's something that the dancers wanted to do,
I'm laughing because I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's one thing, but you don't make them do that.
No,
and
you don't.
I just
my thing is Lizzo already gets a lot of hate, and ma'am, you just added to it. You just added to it.
Yeah, like it's just
look. I
have to say this though, based on what I've seen on social media. I feel like there's a little bit of a double standard because there were a lot of people coming to Lizzo's defense before the whole story was out. Like if you remember Jaybe, before everything was out. Mm-hmm. And I had to ask myself, if Lizzo were a man, if it were the other way around, and it was a male singer that was accused of sexual harassment and this treatment of workers, would people have come to their defense the way they're coming to defend Lizzo? All the women right now on social media coming to defend her, would they have done the same if it were a man?
I would argue no. And first of all, second of all, rightly they would be going after them. But let me say this. What if it was a man that did this, that pressured other men to touch nude women that they didn't want to touch?
Right. And I think that's the frustration like I have with it, because I've seen people talk about it like past 2 days on Twitter and on Facebook and things like that. And it's just interesting to me how quickly all the women coming to defend her. And just because she may have had good points about body positivity and things like that, that doesn't mean she also didn't do this to her workers. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the part that really bothers me when we go back to the incident that happened with Jonathan Majors. Remember, we covered that story. You see the difference in the way that people respond, Jaybe. So many people, particularly women, said Jonathan Majors was guilty from the jump.
They did.
Right away, guilty from the jump. But with Lizzo, it's just, well, no. She's just being smeared. This isn't true. These are just, I'm like, really? Like, but people were so quick to say that Jonathan Majors was guilty. You see what I mean? So I had to ask myself, is there a double standard in reference to sexual harassment when it's a woman doing this versus a man doing this?
You have a valid point. Let's go over the timeline really quick, and then I have a video that I also want to share with you, Sabs, that enters some other interesting angles as well. So this is out of Pop Crave. It says specific claims made against Lizzo and her dance captain, Charlene Quigley, in a lawsuit filed by her ex-dancers. By the way, her dance captain, Charlene Quigley, put out a video about just saying how God is good and how, Jesus, God, basically a whole video of that. But this is for Lizzo. Accusation says, accused of overworking dancers and making the group re-audition with an excruciating 12-hour rehearsal. Those she was dissatisfied with will be fired and sent home. Accused of firing a dancer for challenging her claim that the group was drinking before performances. Accused of making a thinly veiled comment relating to a dancer's weight gain, and later firing her for recording a meeting while suffering an eye condition. Accused of coercing a dancer into touching a woman's breast at a strip club despite the dancer opposing. Accused of inviting her dancers to a nude cabaret bar without disclosing the specifics of the performance. This is for Quigley. Accused of trying to convert the dancers to her religion. Accused of scolding the dancers for having premarital sex. Accused of unwarrantedly discussing masturbation and sexual fantasies with the group. These are Lizzo and Quigley here. So that's what the breakdown of the accusations are. Now, I'm going to go to this video, and George Lee consciously actually talks about the accusations, and this is an interesting angle, but I think it's also valid to say. So, let's go.
So Lizzo's lawsuit. We're going to deal with the fat shaming and the hostile work environment. But first, let's deal with this banana and Amsterdam talk. I'm sure I ain't the only one that was like, Lizzo had y'all doing what with bananas in Amsterdam? That what?
Yeah, because I lived for 4 years on the red light district, in the middle of the red light district. So I recognize a lot of places. And I saw the...
I don't know if I'm going to get a copyright claim for this. So let's...
Want to scoot past that part? Okay.
Yeah, because we already know.
What happened in banana bar?
Yeah, because I want I don't want us to get a copyright claim because we just got back. So okay, all right, what? Okay, all right.
If you believe I do that. Had to cut some hoes loose. Your NDA no loose lips. Now them hoes trying to sue me. If dancers feel like they were pressured to do some things that she desired, then of course that's a hostile work environment. And that clip is not going to age well in that courtroom. But let's get into the issue that everybody's talking about. Lizzo fat shaming and telling dancers that, do you know that dancers get cut for gaining weight? When it comes to normalized bias, I think that we have to deal with how we allow for fat people to be fat phobic to each other, like we allow black people to be anti-black to each other, like we allow gay people to sometimes be homophobic to each other, in the way that us oppressed people can sometimes internalize the inferiority and oppression in a way where we figure out a way to replicate against other bodies that look like us.
That's true.
It's a good point.
Yeah, because we do have that internalized. I know, I have to fight against internalized homophobia sometimes. So I have to do that too. And, we also have internalized white supremacy. So, yeah.
Guys, Is this an excuse for Lizzo? Hell nah. She probably finna lose part of this lawsuit because she said it in the song and we got these clips. And listen, man, it ain't going good. I made many videos about the internalization of racial inferiority. And I think that the internalization of inferiority kind of works very similar in other identities and subsets of oppression. And I think we should be more conscious about how we normalize bias and how we allow particular bodies to replicate against particular bodies. Because it's like, man, you black and I'm black. You fat and I'm fat. Nah. And for all the people that look like me, that didn't like Lizzo, that feel like, see, I told y'all fat phobia ain't all that bad. You sound just like these white folks when they feel like they hear us being quote unquote anti-black to each other and feel like they can be anti-black to us. Hey, Pookie killed Tyrone. I can't do it to you because hey, he did it to you. Another part I'm interested
in. That's a good point.
Good point.
Oh boy. All right.
Wrong, I can't do it to you because hey, he did it to you. Another part I'm interested in part of this lawsuit too is why was your dance assimilating oral talking about religion? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know what the hell was that? In closing, body positivity is still good, fat phobia is still bad. And yeah, you know, everybody innocent to proven guilty, but based off the evidence I've seen, Lizzo probably about to be giving up a little bag. What y'all think?
Yep. I think so too.
Yeah. Boy,
I mean, I don't know if there'll be like a criminal investigation like against her. They'll probably have a settlement. Probably try to keep it out of the courtroom.
Probably.
But still, and I want to be clear to everybody, let's not sit here and think that Lizzo might be the only one. This type of abuse towards dancers is not new in the entertainment industry. And we found that out from, do you remember the girl? Remember Corinne Steffens? She wrote the book Superhead. Remember she talked about her experience as a dancer in the music industry? Found out a lot of things, you know, that some of those dancers have gone through.
Yeah.
But this is really not a good look. Especially as soon as I heard not just the sexual harassment, but as soon as I heard the fat shaming, I was like, really? You know?
Yeah, because it's basically, you know, pot, meat, kettle. You know, it's just like, come on now. You know, and the thing is, it's like we gotta look at it from an employer-employee standpoint. Because the thing is that when you have celebrities, a lot of times they end up being either the boss or high up on the food chain. And we have to look at them in a way where it's like, okay, you are the employer. How are you treating your employees? How are you treating the labor? Because a lot of times people will sit there and go, well, this star is being targeted. And I'm like, well, what are they doing to the workers?
Right.
Because the thing is that sometimes you have to pay attention to the people who have less power than the star. Even if the star is black, even if the star is part of a marginalized community, because even they can do some stuff.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.